There's nothing unusual about watching a major corporation fumble around hilariously in an increasingly desperate and self-defeating effort to handle a PR crisis of their own making. We've witnessed scenes of this sort many times in the past, but what makes the current drama with Bud Light so unique and perhaps really unprecedented in recent times is that in this case, the corporation is clumsily flailing around in the hopes of appeasing conservatives. We are not the group that these companies are usually trying to impress. It's not our outrage that they are normally responding to. But Bud Light's decision to put out a Dylan Mulvaney celebratory can promoting transgenderism and the desecration and appropriation of womanhood has become a tipping point. And things are changing. There's real momentum behind the Bud Light boycott, unlike any other attempted conservative boycott in memory. And that momentum is only growing, even as Bud Light tries to stymie it by doing anything except the one thing that could bring this all to an end, which is to explicitly apologize for pushing gender ideology. They haven't done that yet. They're not ready to do that yet. So instead, they tried to get around the issue on Friday with a statement from Brendan Whitworth, who's the CEO of Anheuser-Busch. And the statement is remarkable in that it goes on for a long time, but says absolutely nothing at all. It reminds me of every essay I wrote in high school or every Kamala Harris speech. Whitworth wrote, quote, "As the CEO of a company founded in America's heartland more than 165 years ago, I am responsible for ensuring every consumer feels proud of the beer we brew. We're honored to be a part of the fabric of this country. Anheuser-Busch employs more than 18,000 people, and our independent distributors employ an additional 47,000 valued colleagues. We have thousands of partners, millions of fans, and a proud history supporting our communities, military first responders, sports fans, and hardworking Americans everywhere. We never intended to be part of a discussion that divides people. We are in the business of bringing people together over a beer. My time serving this country taught me the importance of accountability and the values upon which America was founded. Freedom, hard work, and respect for one another. As CEO of Anheuser-Busch, I am focused on building and protecting our remarkable history and heritage. I care deeply about this country, this company, our brands, and our partners. I spend much of my time traveling across America, listening to and learning from our customers, distributors, and others. Moving forward, I will continue to work tirelessly to bring great beers to consumers across our nation." That was the statement. On second thought, maybe he is saying something significant here because he said that he's going to work to bring great beers to consumers, which means that that must be him announcing that he's quitting the company and going to work for a beer distributor that actually makes great beers. Because if you want to, bring great beers to consumers, then you can't work for Anheuser-Busch. But if that's not what he means, then this statement doesn't say anything, except that Anheuser-Busch is scared and they're panicking, but they have no idea what to do about it. In fact, the statement is it's a master class in self-sabotage. So they shot themselves in the foot, and then they reloaded and shot themselves in the other foot. Because by refusing to directly apologize to their customer base, they've done nothing to quell the controversy or stop the boycott, but by issuing the statement in the first place, and by admitting at the very least that the transgenderism conversation divides people, even though they didn't say transgenderism, but that's what they're talking about, by referring to it as divisive, they also managed to piss off the left. So it's a statement that appeases no one and makes them look worse to everyone. They had a few possible options for dealing with this PR crisis that they created for themselves. None of them are great. You never have a great option when you're in the middle of a PR thing. But some were better than others, and they surveyed all of the options and decided to choose the worst possible one, the one with the biggest downside, but no upside to offset it. But just brilliant stuff. Later on the same day, they decided to take a somewhat different approach. Without addressing the controversy at all, Budweiser put out an ad which was meant to pander to the customer base that they have alienated. Watch.
Let me tell you a story about a beer rooted in the heart of America, found in a community where a handshake is a sure contract. Brewed for those who found opportunity in challenge and hope in tomorrow. Raised by generations, willing to sip, share, risk, remember. This is a story bigger than beer. This is the story of the American spirit.
Let me tell you a story about a beer brewed for those who amputate their own genitals. That would have been a more honest script. Instead, they went with the old school pitch to the working class conservatives, hoping that we forget that their vice president is on the record saying she doesn't want to appeal to that demographic anymore. I mean, they're throwing it. They even had a 9/11 reference in that. They're just throwing everything against the wall. But it's not gonna make us lose focus here. We haven't forgotten, and we won't. So the boycott is still on. The only thing that brings this to an end is a groveling apology. That's the only way this ends, or else it ends with Bud Light simply deciding to absorb the damage and deal with the financial repercussions. Either result is acceptable to me because they both would achieve the end goal of punishing corporate wokeism, claiming a scalp, and making an example out of somebody, which is the point here. As for the financial damage, there's no way to be sure how much is being inflicted on the company at this point. We'll have clearer picture of that when the quarterly earnings reports and all that stuff starts coming out. Right now, all we have are anecdotes. And the anecdotal evidence makes a pretty compelling case that the boycott is making a serious dent. The New York Post published an article interviewing industry analysts who admit that this boycott, quote, has legs. Justin Kendall, who's the editor of a beer industry trade publication, Brewbound, said that from what he's seen, the anti-Bud Light movement has gone from social media and it's made its way into the mainstream. There's reports that have come in from all over the country of bars and restaurants that are refusing to serve Bud Light, and other ones that will still serve it, but they're not able to sell it. One of the most telling signs is a cell phone video, which was captured from a concert where the country artist Riley Green was performing, and he changed the lyrics in one of his songs. The song usually contains the line, "I wish coolers never run out of cold Bud Light." But as his own protest against the beer brand, he changed it to say, "I wish coolers never run out of cold Coors Light." And listen to the audience's reaction to that. Here it is. I'm smoking on my goodness like Friday. I wish you cars had truck fixed. Every road was made copperhead. And coolers never run out of cold Coors Light. Yes, that's a very convincing sign that boycott Bud Light is not just a Twitter phenomenon. But the most important sign is the behavior of the company itself. The statement they put out, the ad, none of that says much, but it does say one thing, which is that the company is worried. Yet they're getting an assist. They're worried. Their back's against the wall here a little bit. But they are getting an assist from what some may consider an unexpected source. Though if you've been paying attention to politics for longer than, say, 30 minutes, you would very much expect it. The Republican establishment is beginning to circle the wagons around Anheuser-Busch. As the Daily Beast reports, quote, the National Republican Congressional Committee quietly deleted a fundraising page on Saturday that took aim at one of its largest donors, the parent company of Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch. The NRCC's backpedaling follows conservative calls for a boycott of the beer company after it partnered with transgender TikTok personality Dylan Mulvaney. On Saturday morning, the powerful committee that provides support to Republican congressional campaigns blasted out a tweet calling for supporters to donate to the NRCC and, in exchange, be given a custom drink koozie. Thanks to Dylan Mulvaney, we can all finally admit that Bud Light tastes like water, the NRCC said in a since-deleted tweet that the Daily Beast reviewed and can be seen in the article. With our new koozies, you can make sure that no one confuses Bud Light with real beer ever again. But shortly after it was posted around 9:30 a.m., the tweet was taken down. Later on Saturday afternoon, the corresponding fundraising page was also nixed. The decision to reverse course is almost certainly a reaction to the reality that the parent company behind Bud Light is a major donor to the group. Now, I wouldn't normally trust the Daily Beast speculations about such matters, but in this case, they appear to be exactly correct. In fact, Donald Trump Jr. has made this argument explicitly. On his podcast a couple of days ago, Trump called for conservatives to, quote, leave the company alone because they donate to Republicans. That was his reasoning. Listen.
This is one, we're dunking on them now, but when you actually look into it, they'd be one of the more conservative-leaning companies in America. So they've been put on notice. I'm leaving them alone. I think you should probably do the same. And we looked into the political giving and lobbying history of Anheuser-Busch. And guess what? They actually support Republicans. In woke corporate America, Anheuser-Busch supports Republicans. Last cycle, their employees and their PAC gave about 60% to Republicans and 40% to Democrats. And that's literally almost unheard of in corporate America.
So we should note that Caitlyn Jenner, who was apparently hanging out at Mar-a-Lago this weekend, also came out in defense of Bud Light for the same reasons that Don Jr. articulated, though Jenner apparently deleted his pro-Bud Light tweet after I called him out for it. Still, it's clear that there is a powerful contingent within the Republican Party that wants us to stand down for the sake of protecting all of that sweet, sweet donor cash. But that's not going to happen. And I will explain why. Okay, first of all, I am well aware that Anheuser-Busch donates to Republicans and has Republican executives and a largely conservative customer base. That's exactly why we should boycott them, okay? It makes their endorsement of gender ideology all the more outrageous, and it makes them all the more vulnerable to our pushback against that marketing decision. As I tried to explain a couple of weeks ago, before the Bud Light boycott began in earnest, if we want to fight back against corporate wokeism, we have to be strategic and intelligent in choosing our targets. Okay, Nike has partnered with Mulvaney too. You know, Nike had, and we could say in an even more egregious kind of way, Nike sent women's clothing to Mulvaney, including a sports bra, and had this man model it, which is even more, as I said, egregious. And then plenty of cosmetic brands and women's fashion brands have done similar. But we aren't trying to organize a boycott against those companies. Why is that? Because we have very little power over them. Okay, if you're going to try something like this, you have to be able to see the win. There has to be a win at the end of it. In 2022, 84% of Nike's political donations went to Democrats. In 2020, it was nearly 90%. So this is a left-wing company run by left-wing people and catering to a customer base that does not primarily consist of working-class, conservative, middle-aged white men like Bud Light. Okay, it's not plumbers from Idaho or truck drivers from Wisconsin who are going out to buy $200 Nike shoes. So it's not going to be very effective to organize a boycott against a company that doesn't care what we think and doesn't need our business. How is that supposed to work exactly? So all these conservatives, and it's not just those in the establishment and high-ranking Republicans and so on. I've seen this on Twitter and on social media. Plenty of conservatives saying, well, what's the point of this? I mean, Nike, this company, that company, they're all woke. Well, what do you think you're going to do about Nike? Bud Light, on the other hand, does need our business. And so they do, or should, care what we think. This gives us power that we can either choose to actually use for a change, or we can sit back quietly and absorb the insult like we always do. And to that second option, I say hell no. We have power in this case. Let's actually use it. I know that concept is like mind-boggling to a lot of Republicans. But when you have power, you should use it. This is what the GOP establishment and its donor class don't understand. Okay? We are sick and tired of this. We are sick and tired of watching as our culture is claimed piece by piece by madness and degeneracy. We are not okay with it. We are furious about it, in fact. And we aren't following your lead in the fight against it because you people aren't interested in fighting against it. We're not going to sit around and wait for you to execute your master plan to win back the culture. You have no such plan. You're satisfied to let the culture crumble and decay as long as you can have a hand in ruling over the rubble. And that's how we got to this point in the first place, where transgenderism is the sort of thing that even Bud Light feels it needs to promote. That's how the total denial of biological reality became mainstream and seized hold of our society. It happened because the conservative, quote-unquote, leadership tasked with defending our country against evils like gender ideology abdicated their responsibility. They gave up without putting up even the semblance of a struggle. They left it to the rest of us to fight this battle, and so we are. You're asleep. We're taking the wheel. It's that simple. And we don't care about Republican donors. Okay, the Republican donors are as worthless as the Republicans they donate to. So I don't give a damn about them. And you could scoff all you want, right? But this boycott matters. It does. It matters because it's obviously not just about one beer company. It's about making a statement. It's about achieving a victory for truth and sanity. It's about doing the things that you people won't do. So step aside and let us handle it. Okay? We'll do everything. You'll do nothing. And then later on, when we get the win, you can run campaign ads pretending that you did something, as always. And that's fine. I don't even care about that. I just want the win. That's all that matters. That'll do it for this portion of the show. Let's move over to the members block. Hope to see you there. If not, talk to you tomorrow. Godspeed.